Hey family, it's me again, African or Co. I'm back right at you with another video. So family, it's time for us to get really serious. So I'm coming to you today. I was prepared to do a whole nother video on another topic, but then I heard about the anti-Semitic uh, bill that was passed yesterday. So I thought I would come and discuss that. So before I get started, I want to say thank you for watching the video, liking the video, and sharing the video. We appreciate you so very much. Remember, this channel is for the African American community and everybody else who, despite suffering through hundreds of years of abuse, dehumanizing maltreatment, and economic sabotage, have picked themselves up by their proverbial bootstraps, non existent that is, and have done wonderfully in America. We love everyone, and we would love everyone to come in. Everyone is welcome. We have to learn to love one another again. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. All right, so family, let's get on this topic. All right. According to the fair use of a copyrighted work for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, it is not infringement of copyright. It's not an infringement of copyright laws. Okay. So, um, African Americans have been voting Democratic for about 60 plus years. And for about 60 plus years, African Americans have not gotten any substantial anything from the Democrats. Okay. Um, According to FBI statistics, okay, and I'm reading right now, I'm going to read something. Okay. The number of reported hate crimes, crimes motivated by bias against someone's race, color, black, and African American people were the most frequented targets overall. These crimes were higher than all other reported crimes. Crimes targeting Black and African American people increased from 2021 to 2023. Okay. Anti Black and African American hate crimes exceeded the number of all other race. Okay. Let that sit in for a second. Okay. All other race, ethnicity, ancestry hate crimes combined in 2021 and 2022 and 2023. Okay? Right now, and since they have come into office, the Democrats are in control, as we all know. And the anti Semitic law took a total of 320 votes to pass. Okay? With only 91 opposing. And of that 91, only 70 were Democrats that opposed this. Okay? Following an overwhelming support from both chambers of Congress in May of 2021, President Biden signed legislation that addressed hate crimes against the Asian community in reference to the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay? We all remember that. We recall that when they were saying that Black people were attacking Asians, and it was just it was going on. It was crazy, um, and then as soon as they got the hate crime bill, all of the attacks ceased. Okay, mysteriously. At an event in the East Room of the White House, President Biden thanked lawmakers for coming together to pass the legislation. He said, standing against hatred and racism, which he called the ugly poison that has long haunted and plagued our nation, is what brings Americans together. Now, family, we know that for over 400 years, Black Americans have suffered at the hands of white supremacy in America. Okay? And we're not going to talk about outside America. We can get into that at another time. We're talking about our brothers and sisters globally. But right now, we're talking about our suffering within America for over 400 years that we have endured. Okay? And we know this. Okay? And it's 2024 right now, and we still have brothers and sisters that are being murdered on the streets in mass numbers, because some we're hearing about and many we're not hearing about, and that are being murdered, okay, by law enforcement and by citizens. We have children being shot in the head because they rung the wrong doorbell. We have uh, Uber drivers being murdered, female Black American Uber drivers being murdered because they went to the wrong home or they were getting scammed. It's just so much, and it's overwhelmingly shown and demonstrated that Black Americans suffer at this. However, um, you know, President Biden feels that the ugly poison that has haunted and plagued uh, the nation of America is what brings, fighting that is what brings Americans together, fighting it for other communities, not fighting it for Black Americans. We have been asking for an anti Black hate crime bill since uh, before George Floyd, but especially since George Floyd was murdered by the police, since Sandra Bland was murdered by the police, since Breonna Taylor was murdered by the police. We have been begging, we have been demanding for an anti Black hate crime bill without any uh, thing happening. Okay? So let me continue, family. The George Floyd bill in 2021 was not supported by any Republican, okay, according to the U.S. House Judiciary Committee. And there has yet to be an anti hate crime bill for African Americans. Can you imagine? The FBI statistics shows that we are targeted more than any other community in this country, and yet we get no anti hate crime bill. Okay? You have to think about that when you go to the polls to vote. You cannot continue to go to vote for Democrats and get nothing. I'm just saying, you can't. You can do what you want to do, but I refuse to do that. I refuse to do that. And I'm not voting Republican if they're not offering us anything. If the Republicans offer us something, I would jump at it. If the Democrats would offer us an anti hate crime bill, reparations, which we're owed, reparations is not a handout, it's not a free fall, a giveaway. Reparations is a debt that America owes the descendants of slaves. If it had been paid to our ancestors, America wouldn't owe that right now. But because it was not paid, it's owed. Look, family, I don't hate anybody, but I'm for what is right, and that's for everybody. And if you do right by one or a few, you should do right by all. And America's not doing right by American blacks. They're not. They're opening up the floodgates, okay, of the borders, and letting all of these illegal immigrants in, and then giving them resources that truly belong to the African American communities, Black community, putting them in our communities and giving them our resources. in our children's resources. And I'm a grandmother, I'm a grandparent, and and my grandchildren's resources. And we're supposed to be okay with that. We're not okay with that. And we shouldn't be. Okay? According to the U.S. House Judiciary Committee, and there has yet to be an anti hate crime bill for African Americans. Section 102 of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2021, qualified immunity, says it shall not be a defense or immunity in any action brought under this section against a local law enforcement officer, a federal law enforcement officer under United States 15 Code, that the officer was acting in good faith or reasonably believed that his or her conduct was lawful at the time when the act was committed. Okay? So, in other words, every time an officer says, I fear for my safety, even if he didn't. Every time an officer comes into a situation with an African American or Black person, and instead of trying to de escalate it, escalates it immediately. Okay. Every time um, the police are called on a Black person, and, for walking in the park or for sitting on their deck, eating dinner, for walking down the street, for talking on their phone, sitting on their porch, for watching their television, for anything, in the store shopping, and the police show up and they're aggressive, immediately aggressive, okay? That's a problem. And if America doesn't see it's a problem, then there's something wrong with the moral standard that it has. Because we have to understand that. Anyone that does not see it as a problem, yet we can go into other situations. Law enforcement can go into other situations and they can be calm and they can de escalate. And that's when all of their good faith training comes forth. However, when dealing with Black Americans, there is none. I have people in my family that were in law enforcement. I have people in my family that served years in the military, okay? And my dad being one, okay? Many of my uncles. However, I can't get with, um, my people serving in the military when we're not being treated right in the country. Because who are we fighting for? We're definitely not fighting for our rights. We're fighting for other communities' rights. And what good is that doing for our children? I'm going to say this. If we continue to blindly vote Democratic, then what's happening is we're digging a ditch for our children that they won't be able to get out of. And we have to understand that that's going to get us nowhere. We can't just think about ourselves. Family, I'm going to tell you something. I was working in my garden um, about a week ago, and an older lady, I think she said she was like 74, 75, uh, came by walking, and I think she works like trying to get people signed up to vote. And so she was asking my daughter and I, were we signed up to vote, registered to vote? And I told her, yes, we were already registered. And so immediately she started talking about voting Democratic. And I had to stop her. And I tried to do it with all respect because she's, you know, she's my elder, and I'm never gonna disrespect my elder. But I had to tell her, I asked her, what has the Democrats done for us as a people collectively? Economically, we are the lowest community. Okay, um, you know, reparations is a debt owed, which they refuse to pay us. However, we're paying Israel every year. Okay, and I'm not trying to get off topic, but I'm just saying, and I just had to, um, I tried to make her understand that just blindly voting, and she tried to argue and, and make sense to why we should continue voting Democrat. And even though I was bringing out valid points to her, why it makes no sense to continue to vote Democratic when they're doing nothing for us. And she even at one point acknowledged that. She still said we need to vote for Democrats, the lesser of two evils. This is the same thing that I heard growing up. Honestly, family, this is the same thing I taught my children for 20 years. I did. Now, not no more. And my children, they don't vote Democrat. I'm not voting Democrat. I will sit it out or see what the independent or the other side has to offer if the Democrats have nothing to offer in November. And I really hope you'll do the same. Because at this point, family, it makes no sense to continue to vote for the Democrats and we're not receiving anything. It just makes no sense. But family, I really thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back again with another video. I would love for you to come back and watch and click the subscribe button for me. And thanks so much, family. I really appreciate you. I thank you so much. I humble myself to you and bow to you. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a good one. Thanks so much. Bye bye.